It's 1938. Albert Hofmann is working at Sandoz Laboratories. He's searching for a circulatory stimulant derived from ergot, a fungus derived from rye grain. While on his 25th experiment with the ergot fungus, he created a compound that showed no interesting or notable signs in animal tests, so it was shelved. But he didn't forget about it. It's April 14th, 1943. Albert is finishing his work at the laboratory. He's far past the 25th experiment and is still unsuccessful in his goal. But before he leaves, he goes back to that 25th fungal experiment and places 0.25 milligrams on his arm as a simple test. He gathers his papers, packs up his things, leaves the facility, and gets on his bike. As he pedals home, it hits him. That 0.25 milligram compound was lysergic acid dithylamide, or LSD. Suffice to say, he had quite the ride home. Albert was the first person ever to create LSD. The LSD took around 40 minutes to activate in his system, and it was bound to the serotonin 5-HT2A receptor. 3 regions of the brain are affected. First, the visual cortex. Visual hallucinations, a heightened sense of color, shapes, synesthesia, or the hearing of colors. It's a barrage of intensity, an invasion of colors, shapes, and fear. Then, the thalamus. The part of the brain that gates sensory input is affected. Information around you that is usually filtered by your thalamus has now been left open, and the gates of your mind have now opened. And finally, the posterior cingulate cortex, the part of the brain that deals with emotional processing. Albert starts to feel insane. He thinks of his children, his wife, his home, and what might happen to them if he doesn't get back to them. Then paranoia, fear, anxiety, a sense of paralyzing terror of death. The boundaries of his ego, the walls that close in his sense of Albert from leaking out, begin to fall apart. He completely loses what it means to be Albert, to be human, and to be anything at all. He had what popular psychedelic culture nowadays calls an ego death. Our everyday sense of life is such a fragile thing when in the presence of any psychedelic. Our hopes, our dreams, our purpose, our wants, our feelings, our family, our brothers and sisters, our homes, our roads, our cities. I did lots of research on different kinds of psychedelics, their effects, and their history, and I could have added a lot more. Stimulants like caffeine and Adderall are fairly simple, neurologically and culturally, a pretty standard can of worms. But psychedelics? That's a more colorful, non-linear, time-bending, and crazy can of worms that I honestly can't wrap my head around. So when researching this topic, I ended up finding more questions than I did answers. I asked myself, what is sensation? What is being? What are feelings? What are our senses while sober, if not a carefully orchestrated amount of chemicals in the brain that lead to our perception? And if those are just thrown slightly out of whack, our experience of the world around us starts to completely change. While on psychedelics, everything we've ever known, saw, heard, and felt might slowly dissolve for a short period of time. And then once the drug leaves your system, the trip ends. Go back to normal. Normal. The study of psychedelics is really a Pandora's box that leads to an infinite number of more questions for what feeling is at all. So I ask you, the viewer, 1. Don't do acid. 2. If you do acid, tell me how it goes. And 3. Know that as fragile as I am making our realities out to be, and positing that the veil between us and psychosis is thinner than we think, it's probably not. The point is that there's a lot more to our brains than our baseline perception lets on. We know more about the moon that orbits our planet than we do the shit that happens in our minds. My question is our baseline perception really normal? Or is normal something we create for ourselves because our brain is hiding something less appetizing deeper in the caverns of our minds? Either way, thank you for watching, and have a nice day.